Guys, welcome, Biggest Loser Tell All. So this is a video that I've been meaning to do for a long time, and The Biggest Loser, it's over a year now since the finale happened. Basically today would be a year from that finale, so pretty crazy. Before we jump into it, last week in my video talking about the Morgan situation, I was eating cereal. So I told you guys I would talk to Magic Spoon, and we got you guys free shipping. So this episode, I sound like a podcast. This episode is brought to you by Magic Spoon. Because we're gonna be talking about The Biggest Loser, weight loss, macro-friendly cereal. I'm a big fan of cereal. I eat this stuff all the time. I started with 8 boxes. I have 2 left. This one's halfway done. So they have tons of different flavors. Again, 4.5 grams fat, you have 10 grams carbs, 3 net grams of carbs, and then 11 grams of protein. So I eat this stuff nonstop. This cocoa one is pretty dang good. You guys can check out the link in the description and save on shipping, because shipping can be, it's nice to get free shipping. So you guys can click the link in the description and save on shipping there. If you haven't seen the show, it's a show where contestants come, there's 2 trainers, and basically they lose a bunch of weight, and the person who loses the least amount of weight in any given week goes home. There's also a challenge aspect that if your team wins the challenge, you get a certain pound advantage. So it's total pounds, that the number of pounds each team loses, and the one who's lost the least on the losing team goes home. So you can still lose the least amount but be on the winning team. Anyhow, basically if you don't lose weight, you end up going home. And then at the end, as we get down to the wire, everyone goes individual, and ultimately you have the biggest loser, who's the person who's lost the most weight. We filmed over about a 10, 11 week period, and that's from the start to the finale, but we were on campus in Santa Fe, New Mexico for 8 weeks. It's dramatic. We were on basically a 500-acre Christian youth camp that they converted Hollywood style to the Biggest Loser campus. And that meant we had basically our gym was a makeshift gym. Like they converted it from it wasn't used as a gym before that. And so they came in, we had 150 people on set every single day. And it was the first time I'd ever been involved with anything like that. And we had caterers every day, we had meals, we had lighting, we had hair and makeup, we had wardrobe, we had producers, we had audio, visual, just you name it, we had someone for it. I didn't realize how big of a production something like that. I'm used to YouTube. I'm used to, turn on the mic and talk. So I think the biggest difference or the biggest obstacle for me was coming on set, and it was kind of like the hurry up and wait. But before I jump into that, it was one of those things that honestly, I can say looking back, it was one of the toughest but most rewarding things. I learned a lot, not only about myself, but about how to deal with a variety of different people. So all in all, it was a really positive experience. I have a bunch of questions from you guys, so I'll jump into those right now. Maxwell, yeah. Were you even able to work out yourself? I was. So I lived in Santa Fe. The actual campus took place about 30 minutes outside of Santa Fe. So I would wake up each day. If I had to be on set about 9, I would try to work out earlier or just do cardio. And then at the end of the day, sometimes I would go work out. I would say I still worked out probably 70% of normal. But the nice thing is I actually ate really well because we had meals catered. Now the contestants on the show, they didn't get access to those catered meals. It was for the crew. We had this room called Crafty, and it was just down from the dressing room. And it literally had just a constant snacks. In the morning, there was muffins, donuts, eggs. Like they were constantly providing snacks in that room, like just throughout the day, you name it, fruit. But then we had 2 meals catered each day, and they were actually really healthy meals. So actually, I stayed pretty much on top of my nutrition. And actually, I think that was, I was fairly lean. But it was difficult to get my workouts in and to stay on top of social media. Because one thing that happened is when I got the role, I couldn't tell anyone. I couldn't tell anyone for almost, I think it was 4 months into filming. So I'm out in Santa Fe for a month and a half, and I can't tell social media, I can't do YouTube because they don't want anyone, they haven't announced the trainers. So that was, I think, one of the most difficult parts. How did you audition for the show? We were just kind of talking about that. So I auditioned for the show. I got a message saying that they were casting for the new Biggest Loser, a reboot. And at first I was like, I kind of watched the show here and there. I wasn't a crazy Biggest Loser fan. But I was like, you know what? I've enjoyed training people. I've trained a whole different, I've trained different types of people throughout my career. It had been a while since I'd kind of trained obese people. And one of the things I kind of talked about in the audition process was helping my dad lose 70 pounds. And I think that kind of got my juices flowing again for helping people, because there's a difference between helping someone get ready for a show to get to like 4% body fat, or to get from 9 to 5 or 12 to 7, and really helping someone change their life, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're giving them a new outlook on life. You're giving them a new opportunity to really extend how long they're gonna live. When I did that with my dad, that was one of the most enjoyable experiences. So I kind of, throughout the casting process, which was a long process, I flew out to California, I did my first audition, and then I ended up doing 2 more where I had to pay to fly out to California. And finally, I was like, on the last one, I was like, guys, I'm not that interested in this is my 3rd trip out here. I'm like, I'm good. Like, it just seemed like they weren't making a decision. But they talked me into coming out, and I auditioned. They said they had it narrowed down to like 3 or 5 guys and 3 and 5 girls for the other trainer. And they ended up telling me I got the gig. And in the audition process, it was like we were working with an actor who we were going to be training like we would on the show. And they wanted us to pull out, different parts and really push them and talk to them about things while we were training them. And it was difficult because my training style necessarily isn't like, let's talk about life while we're training. When we're training. But there it was almost like a therapy session. Like, we were talking about some of the reasons why maybe they were eating or how they got to this point. And so that was a new kind of uncomfortable situation for me, but I ended up liking it. But anyhow, they told me I got the gig. They told me I had 2 days to pack up and get to Santa Fe, and that I would be there for the duration of the next 10 weeks or so. So it was definitely life altering. It was definitely like, oh my gosh, what did I sign up for? Like, I have a business, I have a gym, I have YouTube, I have all of this stuff. I'm just gonna pack up and go. It ended up working out because I had Alec with me at the time when he came out, and we did, we still stayed on top of some of the stuff. I think it was probably brutal for him. Here's a good question. Did you make the plans on your own, or were there guidelines they wanted you to follow? Erica and I, for our teams, our respective teams, wrote every single workout for the entire time we were there. So every single workout that I put my team through, on camera and off camera, I designed. And that, I think, I hadn't programmed every single day like that. And it was good for a lot of reasons, but it was exhausting because each workout, they almost wanted to have a theme. They wanted to have this centralized, like what's the point of today's workout? The point is to lose weight. But because it's TV and everything else, it's like, okay, what's the theme though? Like, what are we going to be exploring today? Like, we had a swim workout. We had so many different ones. We had an outdoor workout. We had to introduce them to a new piece of equipment. And so there was a lot of different types of workouts. Now, one thing I will say is what you see on TV, kind of how it goes is there is a first workout of the week, then a challenge, then a last chance workout, and then the weigh-in. And so we were basically doing 2 workouts a week on camera with them. Those workouts were intense because they wanted them on camera. Those are 2 hours. And for a lot of those workouts, they're high intensity. We're doing things that we wouldn't be doing in every single workout every single day of the entire time they're there. For the most part, a lot of the training and obviously the big part is nutrition, but a lot of the training is just to get moving. We're gonna get moving. We're not gonna overuse any one specific muscle. We're gonna make sure the recovery is there. So in total, we're moving 4 to 5 hours a day, maybe in an intense day 6. But on those training days on TV, the first workout and the last chance workout, that intensity's turned up. So you see us doing things, going hard, and you think, how could these people work out like this every single day? Well, in some aspects, that was as intense as it got. But every single workout I wrote for my team, every single workout Erica wrote for her team, we had no ghost trainers. So in seasons past, they had what they called ghost trainers, which were basically when the TV trainers weren't able to train because of certain things. They could say like, oh, the TV trainers had to be in hair and makeup, or they are doing video recaps. They could have a trainer take their team and go work out. Or if they, were going home for the day, they could have that ghost trainer. We didn't have that opportunity. We were on USA, and I don't know if it was budget. I don't know if we couldn't find trainers. I don't know what it was. But the difficult thing is we would be on set all day, and then we'd get done filming, and they'd be like, okay, now you guys can go train people, 10 o'clock at night. Exhausted, been there all day. And it's like, okay, now we're gonna train. It's just, you have to do what you have to do. You can't make excuses. You can't sit there and be like, I'm not doing that. You guys said we're gonna have a ghost. No, it's like your team is relying on you. These people are here. And I think that was the kind of the constant thing throughout this. There was difficult days. Most days, were tough, long days. And the thing that I kept on coming back to, my reason why, is everyone on my team. They were counting on me to program and to be there and to help motivate. I will say this, like, motivation, a couple people asked about motivating, like how do you motivate people? It was just structure. It was structure, and then on camera, obviously you're giving them motivational nuggets, and you want to remind them why they're there. And we talked, they had therapy sessions. So they're actually, one thing I didn't say is we had a therapist, a licensed therapist that each week they were talking to and really helping get through some of the issues as to why they were eating the way they did. Because we talked a lot about, and I'm not a licensed therapist, I'm not a licensed nutritionist, so we had those people on set, but I was there and got to listen, and even kind of drew on my own, past experience with shows, with binge eating, with, what triggers that. And it was really cool to see the therapist and the nutritionist working with them and getting through those things. Also, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is once people go home, once the contestants either sent home or after the show's done, they all have access to that therapist group that they stay on top of, the personal trainer, a gym membership. But basically, they were given this to continue on their education. But ultimately, a lot of people always wonder, do they gain the weight back? 50% of all diets, people are going to gain their weight back. And I don't think it's as much about the diet as it is about the person. Like some people, like I've yo-yoed in my life. I've now learned to make it a lifestyle. And I think that was kind of the thing we preached all along. And that's the one thing I kind of told my contestants. It's not about, I'll be happy when. You have to love yourself right now. If you don't love yourself right now, there's never going to be a time where you're like, oh, I am happy enough with who I am that I love myself. No, it's never going to be like that. You have to love yourself day one. If you don't love yourself day one, you're not going to love yourself on day 100 of your journey. And I think that was what one of the most profound messages was day in and day out is, hey, do this for you. Do this so that you're here for your kids down the road. In the winter, Jim, one of the greatest guys I've ever met, he embodied that fully. I think that he is somebody that took what Erica said. He was on her team, took what I said, still messages us. I have a close relationship with a couple people from the show. And Jim, I would say, is one of those people that he exudes positivity, he exudes hard work. He was a football coach, and he had a background where, I just think, business and hectic lifestyle, he has boys, he was coaching, he was giving back to everyone, giving, didn't have time for himself. And so many people on the show, I think, were that person. Something maybe had happened in their life, or just life in general, they'd given out too much, and they didn't have anything for themselves. What was the most difficult obstacle you faced as a trainer on the show? I think the most difficult obstacle is really giving enough to each person on your team. It's like, we were kept from them in a lot of ways. Like they wanted to get most everything on camera when we interacted with them. But really where a lot of the emotional stuff happens is, in between shots, like the cameras are on, but a lot of times we have to reshoot things. But my most difficult obstacle was connecting with each one of my contestants because I didn't feel like we always had a ton of time with each person. And there's always going to be, there's a camera there. Sometimes it's hard for people to get past the camera and really get real with you. How long is the show to actually achieve those massive losses? that was another thing about this season, is there wasn't this extended period between. So we broke. We had the top 3 guys, and we broke to film. They went home for I think 2 weeks, and I had a home visit with them, and then they came back for the finale. So in seasons past, I think they've gone home for a longer period of time, but in total it was only 11 or 12 weeks. And spoiler alert, Jim, basically, I think in that time he loses like 190 pounds, or no, maybe it wasn't that much. It was like 140 pounds. Basically, he averaged over 10 pounds a week, more than that, which is just insane. So, which actually brings me to my next question. People were asking, does it do metabolic damage? 2 things I'll say about that. Everyone always asks like, oh, this isn't the healthiest way to do it. 2 things. One, we're dealing with people that are at their end of the rope. They've tried everything. They didn't want to be obese. They came to this Biggest Loser as this last chance resort, this option, this like, I need help. And because what they were doing in their life didn't work. Yes, as a TV show, we had thousands and thousands and thousands of contestants that wanted that process. I think The Biggest Loser always does a good job of making sure they find the healthiest people that are overweight. But from day one to the end of it, you see blood work with the doctor. You look at, okay, you're actually diabetic, you're pre-diabetic, your cholesterol, your sleep apnea, all of those things, weekly markers got better. Now, when it comes to the metabolism, yes, obviously, you're gonna have metabolic rundown in some levels, but the way you diet, studies have showed it's actually not that detrimental. We didn't do it over a year. We did it a short, almost like you would a contest, and then we talked about reverse dieting. We talked about, okay, like once you go home, what we're doing right now can't be sustained for a year. We're gonna have to reintroduce some calories here. So we're gonna talk about refeeds and talk about increasing the calories. And to this day, I'll still talk with actually, they all have my number, and from time to time I'll get messages from every one of them. But they have access to trainers, nutritionists, and things like that. But they knew that what was on the show wouldn't be able to be sustained forever. And I think that's kind of the beauty of the show, is like, you're here 8 weeks to focus on you. You've been giving to everyone else. This 8 weeks can solely be about you. You don't have to worry about your cell phone. You don't have to worry about your job, your family, anything else. Yes, when they go back home, there's going to be all of those things that they're going to have to slowly introduce to. But hopefully they've been given the tools. They learn how to deal with anxiety. They learn how to deal with triggers, food triggers. They learn how to cook the meals. They learn how to work out properly. We need to introduce some weight training in there and some resistance training and cardio lifts versus HIIT. All of these things was just like this massive educational for 8 weeks to get that educational rundown. You can't put a price tag on that. And I think that's what Jim says throughout that process. So if you want to actually hear it from people on the show, Jim and Kyle, and we had Micah, all the people on the show, I think, would say that they were happy they did that. What was the number one thing that you told the folks you trained? Depending on which day it was, we had different kind of, I almost felt like I was a preacher giving different lessons each day. And basically what I did is I kind of looked at myself less as, more like a coach. Like, there was trainer, like obviously you're teaching about form. I'm watching, 4 or 5 people, making sure everyone's doing the best they can on form, but also we're there to get that intensity. I think that's the most difficult thing, is like the show, being a TV show, you want that intensity, which can be sustained for periods, but at the end of the day, it's more about, again, that constant burn, moving. But I really looked at it as like, hey, I want to be like John Wooden. If you don't know who John Wooden is, he's a legendary UCLA coach that basically won more national champions than anyone. He has this pyramid for success, and I wanted to teach them that pyramid. And I didn't want to teach it to them just verbatim from the book. I wanted to teach it to them about in workout, in life, and what we were doing. But each day, kind of, I would read John Wooden's words of wisdom, how he taught about life, success, winning. And what it did is it actually removed some of the anxiety that, like, it was a win at all cost. And I think Erica would probably agree with this. Like, there was a lot of pressure on us trainers to win at all costs. And we decided early on with her and I that it's not about us. It's not about putting us against each other and putting people through just hell just so we would win. It's about these people. It's about their journey. It's about making them giving them the tools so they can be as successful as they can about life. And ultimately, it's about having them be the best versions of themselves. Now, everyone can't win this competition. That's the unfortunate thing about competition. You only have one winner. So does that mean everyone else is losers? No. It just means for whatever reason, they went home that week. Sometimes I think with females, if it's that time of month, if they're menstruating, they're gonna hold on to more water. That was one thing that, we kind of thought about. I can't definitely say that happens. I'm not a scientist that can speak to that, but there's something there. So if you only, and this is kind of a reflection of my life as well, for you out there, you can listen to this and think about this. If you base your self-worth on wins and losses, and growing up playing sports, that was kind of if we won, we were great. In college, we were awful and lost a lot. And that was the first time in my life I had to separate myself from the record on the team I was playing on, how well we were doing. And that was one thing that I said to contestants. If you're doing your best and you lose, feel great about that. If you've given everything that you can and you still lost, you've gotten better. You've done everything that you can. Pat yourself on the back. On the flip side, if you're not doing your best, but you still win, don't feel good about that. Because some people have more talent, more natural ability, whatever. But if you're not giving your all, and only you know that, only you know when you lay your head on the pillow at night if that's the case. And there's an episode where me and Micah have that talk. And it's pretty much me talking to him like I imagine John Wooden would talk to one of his players, and it's talking about that. If you have potential, if you have all this potential to lose weight, to win this competition, to not just to lose weight, but to get healthy, to fix your life, you're a young kid, like only you know that if you're giving 100%, Micah. But it was a very powerful moment. Watching it back, like, you can't get quite the emotion, but even watching it on TV, it was probably pretty cool. I think to watch it back. I thought that was one of my most, not proud moments, but real moments. And that was kind of, there's another question on here. What or who did you draw inspiration from to motivate the contestants? John Wooden. If you don't know who he is, look him up, read his book. Just an incredible human being. Last one here. What was your favorite off-camera moment? There's a lot of off-camera moments that you have with people. And it's crazy how close you can get to somebody in 8 weeks, and just everyone in general, the set, the crew, the contestants, the other trainers, Bob. Like we really became like a family because you're there for 12 hours a day. We would show up at 9, and that was the hardest thing for me about being on TV is the hurry up and wait. Show up at 9, hair and makeup, sit around for an hour, have some meetings about what was going on that day, sit around, have a snack, go to wardrobe, take pictures so they could then approve the wardrobe. Then maybe go film something talking about last episode. Okay, now it's 2 o'clock. We're gonna film this first workout of the week. That takes 2.5 hours. Okay, now we're gonna break afterwards. Each and every single person has to sit in front of the camera and talk about how they feel about the workout. And then we're gonna go do this therapy session. Okay, now it's 7 o'clock, dinner time. And then because you had to take breaks, everyone on set was part of a union. And then at 8 o'clock at night, now I can go train the contestants. That was the hardest part. A lot of sit around and wait. I'm like, give me 5 people and a YouTube channel and we'll get this entire thing done for 10%, 90% less of the cost. So, but again, it's how Hollywood works. And it was cool to see that, but it was also difficult because I'm used to this fast pace. My favorite off-camera moment, Kimmy. Oh my gosh, I haven't even talked about Kimmy. She is a bundle of joy from Tennessee, has a southern accent, and she was just wildly inappropriate all the freaking time. I love that lady. She was just absolutely a hoot. Everyone on my team, Megan, Dolores, Micah, Kyle, Rob, me and Rob had a special bond. I only had a week with him, and that was probably one of the hardest things about the show. But my favorite part about Kimmy, she was not afraid. Like, she would moon people. She would flash people. She was so wildly inappropriate, but everyone loved her because she was just the best. I think my favorite part about Kimmy, though, is we're in an intense workout. We are in this like last chance workout. I'm barking. It's actually 2 hours, and I'm barking. We're doing different exercises, and I look over, and I see Kimmy just on the treadmill, arms going, face going. And I'm like, okay, Kimmy. And then I look down at her feet, and her feet are on either side of the treadmill, and she's just faking it. And I tried to get mad at her, but I couldn't. We all ended up just stopping the workout and laughing, just because she was always interjecting humor like that. It was just a blast to see. So that was probably my favorite off-camera moment. The second close would be, this is an on-camera, off-camera moment. At the end, you know, when everyone comes back, because, you know, obviously at the finale, everyone comes back. To see everyone's families, that made the whole experience worth it. Everyone looked so good in their suit. A lot of their families hadn't seen this final form. It gave me chills, like a constant chill for like the 8 hours that we were there filming, to see these people's families, just how excited they were for their loved one who have now had this new outlook on life, this new chance at life. Just the tears and how genuine those feelings were. That made the whole time I was out there worth it. The ups and downs and everything, that made that all worth it. And definitely seeing Micah, Jim, and Kyle up there, you know, they worked so hard. Everyone worked so hard. I wish everyone could have been up there. But anyhow, ultimately, a positive experience in my life. I learned a lot. I don't know if it's, you know, with COVID, I know we're not filming in 2020. So 2020, the show did not happen. I don't know if there's any plans to renew it in the future. They haven't contacted me about that, but I will say this past experience was a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys like this video and this tell-all. And if there's any other questions you guys have, leave them below and we'll get back to you on them. Thanks a bunch.